So the Phantoms dropped the game against the Telford Tigers 8-6, perhaps one of the strangest games of the season so far, with the Phantoms trailing 6-0 after 40 minutes. And James, you've scored 6 in 18 minutes against the league leaders. If but some maybes really. I mean, to an extent, I think Telford were beatable, and yet after 40 minutes we looked dead and buried.
Yeah, every team in the league is beatable. You know, you've got to be on it though every game for 60 minutes, and obviously for the first two periods they were the better team, and it kind of felt like every time you tried to get the momentum they went down and scored the other end. But that's partly because they're the league leaders for a reason. They're a very good team and they're clinical, and they outworked us at times, and partly because we made sloppy mistakes, or defensively we just didn't do our jobs, and gave them 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, easy opportunities to score. And they've got some really good scorers who took their chances. But as I said, you've got to be on it from the first puck drop, and I think there was a few momentum swings in the first period that meant that they were on the front foot straight away. They got the early goals, and penalty cost us a little bit, and then before you know it, you got a bit of a mountain to climb. Come out for the second period, and first shift they score again, and you just think, we've talked about this and we've talked about that, but when little things like that happen, and it costs mistakes, and it causes them to score as easier chances as those. It's difficult to get back in the game, but credit to the guys. As you said, 6 goals in 18 minutes against the league leaders is not easy to do, and you can say the refs called a few penalties for us on this, that and the other, but we had 5 and 5 goals there. We created the momentum ourselves, and there was a lot of hockey in the third period that we want to be playing all the time consistently for 3 periods.
The fans are going to ask, probably rightly so, how can we do it in 18 minutes when the 42 before was perhaps off the pace, too much space given to the Telford Tigers, game plan worked out perhaps, and at 40 minutes fans are going, what am I watching? And yet we come back. How can we explain that difference?
Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's unexplainable, sometimes it's just luck of the draw. Sometimes momentums don't go away. We can't take penalties. We're going to take penalties in the game. We want to minimise those, and I think we took a couple that we probably shouldn't have done earlier on. But how do we do it? We just got to all be better. We've got to be on the same page, and we've got to be consistent. We've got to know what we've done right in this period and make sure we do those things right to start the game next weekend. And teams go through highs and lows in the season. You see Swindon go on a run at the start and then drop a few points recently and be a little bit more inconsistent. We've been a little bit up and down for most of the season. And we've got to find a way in these games against big teams and good teams to find that consistency. How do we do that? It's about training, it's about working, it's about never giving up, it's about being positive and believing in each other, because we can do it. We did it last season, we've done it at times this season, but it's about finding that more consistently.
Do you think the message was different in the locker room in the second intermission than the first intermission? The second intermission, we've come out, we've kept it tight first couple of minutes, and then, maybe Jarvis's goal has come from nowhere. He's closed his eyes and swung it from, I'm not interviewing Jarvis, and I mean it in good faith and good spirit, but he's hit it from the half-board and he's gone through Brad Day. Start the second period, as you said, we've come out, we ought to be really on it, we ought to be vigilant, if you like, and they score after 12 seconds.
Well, for them it means that they haven't got the shutouts, so automatically it's like, we haven't got to play to that. So maybe at that point they thought 6-1, we're going to still win the game, we haven't got the shutouts, there's no pressure there to try and keep us off the board. Sometimes a little bit of luck, we've had much better chances. I had a couple myself through the first 2 periods that I probably should have scored at least one of them on, and then something like that happens, and it's unexpected. Sport, sometimes that happens, and sometimes you've got to ride that luck and ride that momentum, and maybe we didn't get that early enough, but you've got to create that as well. We've got to create the opportunities to get those pucks on net, and maybe we just didn't get them there quick enough throughout the game and get somebody going to the net, and when we did in the third period, we scored. So, the message between periods wasn't a lot different. We had our game plan. We changed it a little after the first period, and then obviously they got the quick goals. So I think at that point, second period wise, they weren't really much the better team, but they were hard to beat, hard to play against, hard to break down, and obviously they took their chances and we didn't take our chances.
And do you think in that second period, by the time they've scored 4, 5, 6, they might not be playing great hockey, but perhaps one or two of the lads were struggling in that context of that game there?
From their point of view, you mean?
From our
point of view. Yeah, I think so. And it's important. Slava said at the end of the second that some people are up for the fight and are perhaps unlucky to have not scored or not created something, and and are doing everything it takes perhaps to just try and get back in the game. And some people perhaps weren't having the best game, but he said, look, that happens, and you've got to then ride on the back and look at what other people are doing and try and follow that lead. And I'm sure he'll have more to say about that at the end of the game now, because some people I think in the third period did step up, but I think different people stepped up at different times. I just think we need that throughout the team. If we've got 4 lines, at least 3 of them going more often than not.
I know we don't usually identify individuals for particular comment, but I am going to just draw a bit of praise for Jarvis Hunt. I thought he played well. Brad Bowring's had a good game. He's had a good run of games as well. Those young guys, Ross Clark playing well. They're contributing, but obviously they don't do it on their own. And in the third period, other lines stepped up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The young guys have been great all season, and it is our philosophy to try and play the 4 lines, the high tempo game as much as possible. And when we do, and when they contribute as in not necessarily just scoring, but contribute to momentums and the forecheck and hard work that we want every line to be doing. They do a great job for us. I think over the festive period, some of those games that we won the back of their great shifts and their hard work. And even if they didn't directly then score a goal, it created a goal for the next shift because we put them on the back foot. So they continue to do a great job, and they did even through tough times tonight. Yeah,
well, look, difficult to do interviews in circumstances like the game we've just witnessed. But thank you for joining us and being so candid, and we'll see you at the weekend.
All right, thank you.